Who will wear the tuxedo next? Who will order the next vodka martini, shaken, not stirred? And more importantly, who's got the gravitas, the charm, and the edge to become the next James Bond? The name's Red Cape Reviews. James from Red Cape Reviews. It doesn't work as well, does it? With Daniel Craig stepping down / dying after No Time to Die, who will be the next 007? It's the biggest question in cinema. That, along with what will Tarantino's alleged 10th and final film be, and will we ever get a sequel to the 2011 classic Jack and Jill?
Wow! Oh my God!
Fingers crossed. What makes a good Bond? Before we jump into the list of contenders, let's set the bar. What actually makes a great James Bond? Charm and charisma. Bond has always been someone who men want to be and women want to be with. They've also got to have that physicality. Connery was a force to be reckoned with. Dalton was a little bit more rugged than his predecessor, but Craig really ramped this up with the physicality, really took it to a new level. They've got to have good acting range. Confident, but not arrogant. They need to be mysterious, but also sensitive. These are hard balances to achieve. Britishness. Where do I start? Bond has to be British. End of discussion. And I understand the irony that we've had a British Spider-Man, we've had a British Superman, and we've even got a current British Batman. But Bond is British, and that's the end of the story. And it's got to be a fresh take. Each Bond has brought something different, which has kept the franchise going all these years. So let's look at the contenders for Bond. Now, I've left out Idris Elba. He would have been great, but he's admitted he's probably too old for the role. Having said that though, stay tuned for our final wildcard pick, and actually maybe Idris falls into this same category. Henry Cavill, the safe bet. I've called Cavill the safe bet because he's been part of big movie franchises before, such as Superman and Mission Impossible. He's also already played a spy in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Argyle, technically. I doubt there'd be any fan backlash if he got selected, but is it too predictable? Would he make me get excited to go see a Bond film? Also, I don't know if he's got that vulnerability that humanises Bond. He might do, but I've just not seen it. In some of his previous roles, Superman, he was godlike. Mission Impossible, he was great, but did he have that much range? Again, like I'm saying, he might have it, I've just not seen it. Aaron Taylor-Johnson, the rumoured frontrunner. Now, if the bookies are to be believed, then Aaron Taylor-Johnson basically has the role. But does he? He's a good-looking guy, fills out a suit nicely, something that me and him have in common.
Lie.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson is an interesting one because I feel like he hasn't ever broken through. He's had a few hits, but also a few movies that didn't leave much of a mark. And he had the recent Craven saga. Now, I haven't seen Craven. I've actually heard it's not that bad a film, but still, it got terribly reviewed, didn't make much of an impact at the box office, and I don't think did any favours for his career. I feel like he's got good acting range, and he's on the right side of confidence and arrogance, but similar to Cavill, could he be a little bit too old? Regé-Jean Page, the outside chance. Regé-Jean Page, the man who really did drop the ball in career choices. This guy was red hot after the first series of Bridgerton, but then decided to concentrate on films. Bridgerton went on to more and more success, but he hasn't really made the mark since then. He had a supporting role in The Grey Man, a film by the Russo brothers, which was just an assault on the eyes and ears, in my opinion. He then starred in the Dungeons & Dragons remake, which I hear was okay, but didn't do much at the box office. He's got a lot going for him. He's suave, he's good with the ladies. I can see him in the part, but has he got the action chops? We've just not seen enough to know, really. Do we think that he could take down some legendary Bond villains? Again, there's pluses and minuses for this guy, but I'm overall just not getting the wow factor. James Norton, the balanced choice. I'm not going to spend much time on James Norton, because I just don't think they'll go for him. He's definitely got great acting range, but I'm not sure he's got those kind of suave lady killer vibes that Bond needs. He also doesn't have that international recognition, but did Daniel Craig. Harry Dickinson, the new blood. If Bond producers wanted a new talent that was on its way up, then jumping onto Harry Dickinson's coattails could be a great option. Harry's 28, already got some great credits on his CV, and he's had exposure to American audiences. I think it's a higher probability that someone like Harry will be Bond, and by that I mean someone younger. History tells us that franchises in recent years have rebooted with younger actors, or actors that appeal to a younger demo. Recent examples include Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Robert Pattinson's Batman, and David Corenswet and Millie Alcock as Superman and Supergirl. The Bond producers will want the next Bond to stick around for at least 10 years. They'll want that investment back. They're not going to want somebody who does 2 films and then is aged out. The only downside for us, not for Harry, is that he's just signed on to be in the new Beatles film from Danny Boyle. Now, this is going to be 4 films. This could have serious implications on his availability to film future Bond movies, and I think that the person playing Bond, they'd pretty much want exclusively, at least for the first few films. A total unknown? Now, could be argued that Bond is the star, James Bond himself is the star, and the history and the Bond brand will ensure that people will go to see the film. You could fill the supporting cast with bigger names and go for a complete unknown, similar to what Richard Donner did with 1978's Superman. They had a recognisable brand, Superman, and a stacked supporting cast that included Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman. Pierce Brosnan, the wild card return. Okay, so hear me out on this one. Pierce Brosnan was a great Bond, and he said publicly that he wasn't happy with how his time as Bond ended after Die Another Day. They could go in a complete opposite direction and have an older Bond. Look at Liam Neeson, Mel Gibson, they're still pumping out action films. Some things would have to change, sure, less running and older Bond girls, hopefully. But it's not a bad shout. Maybe they could do 2 standalone films with Brosnan and then reboot with a younger Bond. That would have a nice separation between Craig's ending as Bond and his death, and then a new series. It's a long shot, but the idea of a Logan-style Bond finale with Brosnan is undeniably intriguing. What direction should Bond go in? Casting Bond isn't the only thing to think about, but actually it will affect the person that they go with. It needs to think about where the franchise is heading. Like the tone, do they continue with Craig's realism, or do they return to like a stylish fun, even like the Roger Moore days? A little bit more tongue-in-cheek? Diversity? Are they keeping with tradition, or are they redefining for today's modern world? And franchising. Now, with the sale to Amazon, this is a really interesting point. Do they continue to just make standalone films, or are they trying to expand into a broader universe? Are Amazon just going to be happy with 1 film every 4 or 5 years? Or will they want to start branching out into series? Similar to what Batman did with the Penguin and numerous other examples. So, who should be the next James Bond? My personal view is that the casting of Bond is really important. But like I've just mentioned there, it's arguably more important that they get the story and the tone right. It needs to feel like they have something really distinctively different to the recent Bond films. Whoever it is, one thing's for sure, Bond will return and we'll be watching. I've been James and this is Red Cape Reviews. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, get in touch. Who do you think should be the next James Bond? And I'll see you in the next one.